I can't help it. I said some of it before, but I look at that picture that we put up earlier of those ICE agents. I look at a picture of this innocent young man, an American citizen, though that shouldn't matter, and how he's treated, being put in a chokehold. And this guy who looked like he could be out of central casting for Mississippi Burning, with his arm around his neck, looking forward. I don't know if he knew there was a camera on or whatever, and smiling. It's fucking sickening. And right now, again, what Cory Booker had to say, we need more Democrats speaking up on this. We need more Democrats going and standing out. Was it 26 Federal Plaza, the one in New York, and these detention centers across the country, and refusing to leave? We need to make demands. There are things Democrats can do, okay? And I'm not an expert in procedure. Far from it. I worked on campaigns. I was not a Hill person. I do know, however, for the Senate to go forward, there needs to, and not have everything dragged out and take days, they need unanimous consent. Withhold it. It is worth it for this. There are masked criminals. Some of them were Jan 6 people, from what I've been told, certainly seem very white supremacist, or at least they're white supremacist adjacent, who are wearing masks, sunglasses, not identifying themselves, breaking car windows, pulling people out of cars, showing up at fourth grade schools to yank little girls out of their classrooms, showing up at churches to yank people out of pews. Who the fuck are these people, and what gives them the goddamn right to do that? Not our Constitution, not our laws, not our traditions, nothing here. And if you can't stand up for this, if you can't stand up to these guys, if you can't get angry, if you can't get so much righteous anger, you're ready to burst, I don't know who you are, and I don't honestly understand what it is that you believe in about America. Because that's not my America, and I get it that this stuff's happened plenty in the past. I brought up Jim Crow before, so I'm not some sort of fantasy person here. I'm not somebody who believes, oh, it was all wonderful before. Like go watch Gone with the Wind and see it from their perspective. No. Not that. But we were supposed to be better than this. We were supposed to have improved. We weren't supposed to have to J. Edgar Hoover running an institution. We were supposed to have transparency. We have let the worst human in the United States, and one of the worst in the world, and human I use lightly, this gaudy, gross, chubby, obnoxious, stupid, ignorant fool, okay, take over and have whatever his little sort of whatever his envies are, right? He's angry blue states didn't vote for him. Maryland didn't vote for him. So he allows their water to get poisoned and holds back on FEMA aid. All right. Who does that? This scumbag does. Who doesn't right away say that North Carolina will get the 100%, a swing state even, that voted for him somehow, of the money they're deserved after Hurricane Helene? This schmuck. This is the one who does that. This cruel, barbaric piece of shit. This is not us. All right. And if not enough of us show how horrified, how ridiculous, I need to do it, because here's who I am. All right. I am a white guy. I am middle or upper middle class. I am straight. I can walk around the streets without being harassed. And therefore, it is my responsibility. It is my job as an American to speak out for others who can't. And anybody who's watching this, who's in a similar situation to me, it's yours too. Because we can just walk between the raindrops for the most part in this country. All right. It's not happening to us. It may eventually, but you know what? That's not what you should be thinking about. You should be thinking about that young man who looks like he can't breathe. It reminded me in a sick way. It made me think about, what was Garner? Was it the last name? The one who was choked by a cop in New York. I think what did he do? He took a cigarette or something. It reminded me of what happened in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, where, we had a man who couldn't breathe because a knee was on his neck. No, this needs to stop. And not, this needs to stop. Like, okay, and now I'm done. No. There's a lot of things that can be done. Okay. We need to get in their faces. We need to be, at these events. Okay. And marching up. But we need to also put ourselves in a position where, we may be in harm's way. To put ourselves between these sons of bitches and innocent people who've done nothing but work here a hell of a lot harder than they have. I just heard recently, and if you don't think it has an effect, by the way, folks, oh no, like there's this terrible epidemic. You know that? Did you know there was an epidemic? Yeah, there's an epidemic. It's that ICE agents are getting depressed now, and they're sad. They're not happy with their work. They're not sure. Well, good. Fuck you. If you want to go and destroy other human beings' lives, I hope you're depressed. I hope you look in the mirror and realize you are the garbage that we've talked about throughout history. You would have been right there. You would have been an ordinary German. You would have been one of the Japanese troops taking Americans on death marches in Bataan. All right, you would have been among Milosevic's folks massacring Bosnians. You would have been with the Hutus massacring Tutsis, and I could go on and on and on. You're the worst. So yeah, be ashamed. Quit that job. Or maybe from the inside, demand that changes be made. I don't really care. But if you're not identifying yourself, if you're not letting people know who you are, and you're driving up to some innocent person who's a US citizen, by the way, and I hope sues the living shit out of you. But if you're doing that and you're pulling them out of a car and freaking them out and freaking out kids in front of their parents, guess what? You're not a good person. You're horrible. You're American History X. You're what we write movies and novels about. You're Darth Vader. You're Thanos. You're the bad guy. Am I the bad guy, as Scarface said? Yes, you're the bad guy. So I don't care. I had a list here, and I don't know where it went because, of course, this always happens of various things. And I'll come back on another show and another one of these where I'll talk more about specific things we can do. But if you're not speaking out on social media, if you're not showing up to protest, if you're not trying to convince relatives, if you're not horrified by what is going on right now, then I'm not sure what you're doing, particularly, again, if you look like me. All right. There are others that don't have the protection that we have, that we're afforded just by the color of our skin and our sexual preference and whatever else. Be out there. Do not allow this to happen. And the Cory Bookers, who I don't, some people attack. Yeah, no one's perfect. Bernie Sanders owned 3 homes. What? Doesn't care about anybody anymore? Because some people use that against him. You can find stuff wrong with AOC, I promise you. I know. I know that everybody who does the judging is perfect, and it's just the judge that aren't. Or maybe we're all fallible human beings just doing our best. And the ones among us who are fighting the hardest, besides Cory Booker, Chris Murphy, who's gotten up and done it, is another senator I think of, Sheldon Whitehouse. Support these people. Courage, as I said, is contagious. Let them know you have their backs. It's a lonely place to be standing up against an authoritarian when nobody is helping you out. All right? You must stand up to these clowns. You must stand up to these walking balloon animals, these Tommy Tuberville types. Okay? That is the way we get our democracy back. You do it because everything has an influence. People are like, oh, well, what legislation did you offer? Or what did you? Martin Luther King didn't offer any legislation. Not that I'm aware of. I don't think he was in the House and the Senate. Changed everything. Neither did Gandhi, by the way. Go back through U.S. history, through progressives, who all sorts of folks who were not in the system but outside of the system and spoke out, because changing minds changes culture. And when you change culture, that changes politics. People feel they can't vote for certain awful things. They can't support certain awful things. So that's all I'm going to say. Like that image of what they did to that young man is, there was another one recently where they grabbed a Marine, a father of 3, off the streets, threw him down and took him in. This cannot stand here. It cannot be allowed. These thugs can't be allowed to operate this way. And no one's coming to save us, folks, as past generations have done, whether, it was civil rights movement fighting against the Palmer raids in the 20s, fighting against the Klan in the 20s and the 1860s, and Jim Crow. And, there are a lot of heroes out there, names we know, names we don't. But whether you're the former or the latter, do your part. I know you're here because you care. I think you're here because you care.